What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Solomon here. Hope you guys are all enjoying your day. If you see any scam ads on this video, please do not participate in those. Well, the rhetoric is shifting, and it's shifting very, very quickly in the digital asset space. And digitization is happening whether people like it or not. And it's coming quicker than I think many of us would have imagined. I know Christine Lagarde, head of the European Central Bank, had always said slow, 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 and then fast. And we see these this abundance of announcements that just comes out in a couple of days, and it seems to be a trend now over the past 6 to 8 months. I think most of the mergers and acquisitions have occurred over the past 12 to 18 months, and I'm sure some of those will still occur, but saw some interesting news come out of over the past couple of days here. I'm sure you've all been aware of the stablecoin announcements. We're going to go over that in a second here. So I wanted to bring this up, though, because I'm seeing some news about central clearing counterparties here and stumbled upon this. This is a Ripple blockchain in the future of real-time payments. This is prepared for FIDs, and they talk directly in here about their, domestic payments being settled through a central clearing counterparty, ACH in the US, FPS, CHAPS, etc. Now they also go in to say that this is a Ripple presentation to FIDs or for FIDs, however you want to take it. There is no universally accepted central clearing counterparty for international payments, which makes international payments difficult. And we can go down into here, and it's just telling you about a little bit the non-level playing field that's going on right now in the legacy system. It talks about sample cross-border payments today, and it goes in to talk about blockchain and leveraging distributed ledger technology for cross-border payments. This is enabling real-time settlement with bidirectional messaging in cross-border payments. And this is where this all heads. If you're not familiar with this, with my YouTube or any of this, or even blockchain or crypto, cross-border payments, when you send money across borders, it's not as fast as if you send an email or if you send a text message, obviously. It takes days, and that is just not sustainable. We have the capabilities and the technology now to do this almost instantaneously. And my opinion completely is that most of these legacy institutions are have their hands in the pot here, and they're kind of holding back the regulation for crypto and digital assets to allow themselves to somewhat, I don't want to say catch up, but I want to say survive in the interim. So we can see, just the Ripple use case talks about American Express and Ripple. American Express building their small and medium enterprise and corporate customers supplier payments directly on RippleNet, creating a global network of clearing partners around the globe. You get the picture here, though. I think it's pretty clear. Digital assets and the internet of value, and then it goes into talk about XRP as well. So this is FIDs, though. FIDs helps 3,000 active clients communicate with 10,000 banks globally. So Ripple prepared that presentation directly for FIDs. Now, I wanted to get into central clearing counterparties, and this is from the European Central Bank. This is occasional paper series, distributed ledger technology and securities post-trading. Now, this is 2016, and many of us that actually do a lot of deep diving and research into digital currency, and in particular for this situation here for XRP, a lot of the news tends to die off after 2016, 2017, and a lot of the news tends to go dark. You get a lot of error, bad gateway websites, et cetera, et cetera. But it's very clear what was being built. Ripple's been around since, probably, 10 years now? So 2010, 2011. So what we see here, though, is they directly are talking about distributed ledger technology. They're talking about the current post-trade landscape here. Now, they're talking here about potential impacts on the clearing layer, like we were just talking about, CCPs, right? The impact of distributed ledger technologies on trade enrichment, confirmation, and matching depends on whether and how trading platforms could be integrated with the distributed ledger. Were these two separate systems, the impact of DLT would be limited to a simplification of the netting and risk management procedures. If transaction messages on the ledger were themselves settlement instructions for cash transactions, however, a series of typical back-office procedures that take place currently between trade capture and the instruction of settlement might disappear. And what does Ripple do? Ripple pre-validates messaging on the front and back ends, right? And the use of XRP, the digital asset, once that pre-validation has been done, can instantly settle. So they're talking about kind of the windfall of non-essential positions that are going to be held at multiple institutions here that deal with a lot of these trade captures and instructions of settlement, because it won't be necessary. Because once everything's pre-validated, why do you need additional instructions to settle? It needs to happen instantly, correct? Inherently, if you're validating on the front and the back end, I mean, common sense would tell you, and if you do it correctly, and if you do it through an inherent a trust-based process, you don't really need to have these instructions for settlement, right? It just happens. You click a button or whatever, the pre-validations occur, and then settlement happens. That is not the way that this happens today. This is talking about DLT, not only being able to facilitate settlement almost at the same time, or actually almost at the same time, not only the same day, within the T+0 cycle. The possibility of instant settlement, the ledger being updated immediately after a trade has been executed and validated, would affect the role of clearing for cash transactions. Being able to require the availability of securities and cash would eliminate liquidity and credit risk from any trade executed for immediate delivery, although the impact of eliminating netting on market liquidity and price informativeness has yet to be assessed. Now, this is 4 years ago, though, you have to keep in mind. In DLTs, where settlement is not instantaneous, and we know that XRP, for one example, on Ledger is nearly instantaneous. Obviously, I posted that yesterday. What is it? 3 to 5 seconds on Ledger for XRP, and about 2 minutes for an entire transaction, including pre-validation. Compared with the legacy system that takes, now GPI can instantly settle, but it still uses Nostro and Vostro, so you have to pre-fund the banking accounts or whatever accounts on the front and back end. But XRP does that, even through RippleNet in 2 minutes. So 3 to 5 seconds to settle XRP on Ledger, but with all the validation processes that occur, it's a couple of minutes, which is insanely fast given the 3 to 5 days, sometimes longer, of some of these transactions that are occurring right now. All right, now I want to keep going here. Interestingly enough, we see the European Central Bank was talking about potentially utilizing distributed ledger technology, and they talk about derivatives in this too. They talk about the clearing function will also continue to be necessary for trades in which derivatives are involved. If smart contracts were widely adopted, some financial intermediaries, such as custodians, meanwhile, could see their roles disappearing. But we talk about derivatives occasionally with the in the XRP community, and some people tend to think that may be the psyop that is occurring with this cross-border transactions. I will withhold judgment, but we do see interesting things coming from R3, implementing derivatives clearing on distributed ledger technology platforms. So they're saying that the derivatives clearing function still needs to remain. Well, R3 has already posted a document about this in 2017. Now, this is 3 years ago, over 3 years ago. If you do not think that this has been explored by now, I'm sorry, you're wrong, because it has been. I mean, most of these documents occurring, the real big documents are a few years old. And they always come back around, and most of the stuff generally comes to fruition in one way or another. It's just interesting to see how it plays out. If you're not aware, a central counterparty clearinghouse, it's an entity that helps facilitating trading in various derivatives and equities markets, typically operated by the major banks in each country. Central counterparty clearinghouses strive to introduce efficiency and stability into various financial markets. They reduce counterparty operational, settlement, market, legal, and default risk for traders. And DLT, when enough liquidity is built up, eliminates some of these needs inherently just in the technology itself and in the efficiency of the software, something like RippleNet, and the efficiency of the digital asset. And this is where this is going. If you're not aware how big the derivatives market is, multiple numbers out there, but they get up into at the high point, I think it's $1.2 quadrillion. So we talk about overtaking Swift, being in the XRP and the Ripple community, and what inherently that would mean for the valuation of XRP if XRP was to be used. But just imagine, and I'm not saying it's XRP, imagine when it happens, because it's going to happen, where digital assets are utilized in derivatives. And imagine if just a portion of that flows through a digital asset instead of the traditional legacy means. Imagine what that means to the valuation. Imagine what that means to getting on that train early enough. And we still are early to partake in what is coming. And once they have a taste of the utility that's going to occur for settling and instantaneous swapping of digital assets, utilizing that utility, it's going to be game over. And I believe it's probably already game over. We're seeing most of these institutions right now just trying to play catch up so they don't die. Bank of England's statement on the European Commission equivalence decision on the future legal and supervisory framework for central counterparties. This came out, I think, today or yesterday. Now, this is obviously the UK with Brexit and the EU and everything else, so I thought it was relevant to at least share. HM Treasury, if you're not aware, and Bank of England have already put in place a temporary recognition regime for non-United Kingdom central counterparty clearinghouses. From January 1st, 2021, this will enable European Union CCPs to continue to provide services in the UK. If you were curious about that, I know this is... we go down the rabbit hole on this or whatever, but I'm just trying to prevent some factual information for you all. All right. Now, this is huge, everybody. And I'm going to present a timeline for you all. Brian Brooks came over from Coinbase, I think it was May of this year. Coinbase is a cryptocurrency exchange. I think he was the head of legal at Coinbase. Now we see here, this is just yesterday, and this is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. If you don't know what the OCC is, it's essentially, he's pretty much, that office is the head regulator of all United States banks, federal depository institutions, and the head of the OCC, who is now Brian Brooks, who came over from Coinbase, is obviously the head of that department. He's basically the head regulator of all the banks. OCC issues interpretive letter on banks and stablecoins. SEC comments on its position regarding digital assets. Now, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency has issued an interpretive letter. Stablecoins are digital currencies, blah, blah, blah. He's basically saying that today's letter by the OCC states that stablecoins generally, I mean, right now, mostly backed by fiat or like dollars. But we've all seen, and if you want to check out a great video, check out Crypto Eddie's video from today. She talks about David Schwartz's XRP stablecoin proposal, or XRP backed, I should say, stablecoin proposal, which essentially is the value of that stablecoin would be essentially equal to trade for XRP at any time. But that stablecoin could also be backed by multiple different things. Precious metals, commodities. It doesn't really matter as long as there's that value prospect there. The OCC states that stablecoins may be held by federally chartered banks. Well, we just saw, 2 months ago, and I think it was July 21st or July 22nd, the OCC basically stated that banks can custody cryptocurrency as well. So we're going to see more news from the OCC, I am sure. Now, this I found as well. This is IOSCO. If you're not aware, and this was like probably yesterday, this is IOSCO, the board of the International Organization of Securities Commissions. The International Organization of Securities Commissions is an association of organizations that regulates the world's securities and futures markets. Members are typically primary securities and or futures regulators in a national jurisdiction or the main financial regulator from each country. And in this document right here, they are directly talking about blockchain responses. This is probably from multiple institutions and a summary of the comments that they've received. Now, just pay attention to this, and this tells you exactly what you need to know as far as where this space is going. This is part of IOSCO's general approach to monitor the digital transformation of the financial industry. They're not telling you if it's going to happen. They don't care when it's going to happen. They're monitoring the fact that it's definitely happening. Now, we are all on board this train. We have no idea how this shakes out. But just because we're here, we've already got a foot up on 99% of the people in the populace globally. You have a conversation with your aunt Denise or your uncle Johnny or whatever, and guarantee you they're going to think you're crazy by even talking about this stuff. Who cares what they think? I try to keep telling family members about what's happening because it's all about the factual information. This is 100% occurring. The IOSCO is stating right here that they are monitoring the digital transformation of the financial industry. They've undertaken various strands of work on distributed ledger technology and blockchain technologies to explore the benefits and potential risks of blockchain and debt capital raisings. They're posing questions in its consultation report to gather public feedback on the potential of blockchain and reducing conflicts. Blah, 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 blah. You get the point, right? It's occurring. Chamber of Digital Commerce, which is interesting. This is their response to IOSCO. I don't know if this is from the same public comment on issues, risks, and regulatory considerations relating to crypto asset trading platforms. Now, this Chamber of Digital Commerce has some heavy hitters on it as well. You can look into that if you want to. But it does go into here, and I'm not giving regulatory clarity of XRP on my video, but I am stating what the Chamber of Digital Commerce has stated. In addition, clear statements that certain crypto assets such as Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, and similar tokens are not considered in and of themselves to be securities. So you've got one opinion there, okay? Now, interestingly enough as well, Accenture defining a cross-border settlement scheme. And if you were not aware, this is all about Accenture and Ripple, the journey to real-time cross-border commercial payments using distributed ledger technology. Accenture is a beast. The governing rules, planning components cover scheme governance, structure, regulatory compliance, best practice such as CPMI, TAC, IOSCO principles for financial market infrastructure. This is about this figure 2 showing Accenture's payment scheme operating model framework and its components with Ripple DLT as the core infrastructure. Here we go. Platform integration done by D+H. I've touched on this before. D+H merged with Misys, and we're going to see this company in a second, and they became Finastra. So this is telling you right here that Ripple Distributed Ledger Technology, the infrastructure of Accenture's cross-border payment scheme, the platform integration of this is done by D+H, or for example, by D+H. And Ripple DLT is part of that infrastructure right there. And we know that D+H has patents out on Ripple. We know that Finastra signed on for on-demand liquidity. I think it was back in October or November of last year. So we are all just playing the waiting game now. Another document about central bank digital currencies and stablecoins. How might they work in practice? Now this Clifford Chance is probably some sort of a law firm or okay. Clifford Chance is a multinational firm headquartered in London, member of the Magic Circle, one of the 10 largest law firms in the world. So they're all talking about the same thing. Oh, here's that announcements for federally chartered banks and thrifts may provide custody services for crypto assets. This isn't news to most of us that are in this space. This is news to those of you that are trying to be enlightened by what is actually occurring. I'm just trying to provide a little bit of a timeline for you all and telling you that it's coming 100%. Well, again, you know, the day after Brian Brooks of the OCC says that banks can custody stablecoins, the European Central Bank, their crypto asset task force, comes out with the occasional paper series, Stablecoins, implications for monetary policy, financial stability, markets, infrastructure and payments, and banking supervision in the euro area. Now, they do talk about trading volumes of non-stable coins, in XRP is mentioned in here, versus stable coins, as well as volatility, et cetera, et cetera. All right, a speech by Christine Lagarde yesterday, jointly shaping Europe's tomorrow. This is introductory remarks by Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank. Not aware, she has met with Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. She is the former head of the IMF. Now, this speech right here is at the Franco-German Parliamentary Assembly, 21st September 2020. Now, what she talks about in here is of note, and if we strengthen economic and monetary union and deepen the single market, we do not only benefit all Europeans by improving the way we produce, distribute, and consume, we also increase our autonomy and ensure that Europe is better protected in the world of tomorrow. She's telling you it's coming. As legislators, you have a crucial role to play in designing policies that can revitalize our economies. Digitalization is case in point. We need to fully reap the potential gains from digital technologies. If we don't, we risk creating a new divide. We can already see gaps opening up when we look at differences in wages, education levels, and gender. Now, she is definitely talking about the strength of European payment systems. actively pursuing initiatives to achieve strengthening European payment systems, exploring benefits, risks, and operational challenges of introducing a digital euro. A digital euro could be a complement to, and this is the same rhetoric that we keep seeing people, it's just more and more every day, a complement to, not a substitute for cash. What does Ripple say all the time? Remember whenever they talk about Ripple being a disruptor to the legacy payment systems? Brad Garlinghouse specifically says Ripple and what they're trying to utilize XRP for, they don't consider that being a substitute or a disintermediation of. They consider that to be a complement to the fiat system. So it's interesting to see the same rhetoric come out. It could provide an alternative to private digital currencies and ensure that sovereign money remains at the core of European payment systems. Now, my opinion very much so on XRP is that it plays a role or will play a role in exotic corridors, especially in the beginning and especially when we have regulatory clarity. But we will see how that plays out. That is my speculation, so take that however you want to take it. Now, there was another bill today. This deals in telecommunications. I think this came out today at least. But this is to improve certain programs of the SME or Small Business Administration to better assist small business customers in accessing broadband technology and for other purposes. I love the for other purposes. And, this talks about broadband and emerging information technology and distributed ledger technology such as blockchain is tied right into that. Now, I found this today as well. This is a little bit older, but just to provide a little bit of scope for you guys, this is a Barclays presentation. This is all about system resiliency, attributes to make blockchain a big deal. And this is Barclays, Bank B and Bank C here. We're talking about Australia, the Euro, and network, e.g. Ripple and XRP. So I'm sure most of you have seen that. Okay, we get into this. This is a little bit newer. Korean financial group Wori plans blockchain real estate fund. Now, if you're not aware, Wori is part of the Ripple diffusion phase through SBI Japan. Now, Japan-Korea remittance experiment between 37 banks from the Japan Bank Consortium and 2 large Korean banks, Wori Bank and Shinhan Bank. Ripple diffusion phase right here. Distributed ledger technology system on Microsoft Azure. This is Ripple Connect Cloud. We can see the connection points here. Now, again, we see Ripple diffusion phase. Again, this is SCB, SBI Remit, International Remittance Service. Now, utilizing X-Current, but I do believe, and I couldn't find the slide on here that they talked about integrating XRP into this as well. This is older, though. This is still Ripple diffusion phase. This is OnePayFX through Santander. You can go down the line here. Next generation remittance platform. Now, this is interesting here, and I'm curious what survives on a level playing field. We always talk about level playing field and why Ripple is targeting and coordinating and trying to help legislators to provide regulation, because I feel like XRP just dominates on a level playing field, especially once liquidity is built up and all these rails are in place. Transactions per second, 1,500 XRP. We can see the competition here. Time taken for a transaction, 5 seconds for XRP. Cost per transaction, 0.0004. All right. RippleNet officially confirms India's largest bank joins RippleNet. I think this was from one of their regional swell presentations. HDFC Bank has joined RippleNet. This was leaked previously, but HDFC Bank is huge. 100,000 employees, 43 million customers. Now, we all know India's rhetoric with digital assets. So take that however you want to take it. I'm just telling you that they are on RippleNet, obviously. Now, we saw this news come out a couple days ago. HSBC and Standard Chartered reportedly moved large sums of illicit cash for 2 decades with no idea of money's origins. So they want to talk about illicit transactions with crypto. The banks have been doing this for decades. So FinCEN leaks, and this was part of the same leak that came out a couple days ago, I believe. This is DBS, CIMB, and Deutsche among banks in Singapore. That handled about $6 billion in suspicious transactions. All right, this is newer news today. iRemit, and this is RippleNet. iRemit forms unit to expand into trading and e-commerce. Remittance service provider iRemit setting up a subsidiary to expand into retail, wholesale trading, and e-commerce. That is RippleNet as well. Worldline and Unwire accomplice for transport funds venture. This is through a mobile app. But interestingly enough, Equin's Worldline is very much so, I believe, tied into XRP and RippleNet. There are multiple. This is a XRP daily thing here, but this is all the news that I actually found. So it's all on here, but this is eliminating central entities. I understand there's a typo, but it's a real document. I think it's through something for tea time. It's like the name of that forum through Equin's Worldline. Instead, money is converted into the native Ripple currency XRP. Banks embrace Ripple and move beyond testing to real-world transactions. Multiple cross-border payment initiatives. Fantastic, right? Ripple partner Finastra and Consensus. Consensus I have not seen as a Ripple partner at all. I think Consensus is the organization that just took over Quorum, if I'm not mistaken. Ripple partner Finastra and Consensus trial new microfinance initiative Trust Machine. We just talked about D+H and Accenture earlier as a platform integrator. Finastra is now D+H plus Misses, so take that however you want to take it. Avalanche mainnet is launched. I talked about this. This is that AVAX token. I believe this is on Binance, but not in the US yet. So I am very much so paying attention to when that is available to me. Now, I wanted to end this video by talking a little bit about Hashgraph. I saw this news come out, and I think people miss it. I look at like Hedera Hashgraph almost as like being XRP or Ripple in like 2017. As far as what I think is going to happen with HBAR and Hedera Hashgraph. Ridiculous partners that don't even just govern the network, but own it. I think they've got 16 or maybe it's 19 out of 39 of those governing members or owners of the network, including Boeing. They've got Google's on there. There's huge organizations on that board. But this is Australian agri supply chain launches on Hedera Hashgraph. It would be very easy to miss this news, but if you're a little bit familiar with what Hashgraph is doing in Australia, it becomes a little bit more clear. Now, and if you read down through the press release, even more clear. Now, Entrust is this platform name, okay? And Entrust is going to operate on Hedera Hashgraph. Now, this Entrust was announced by South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall. Its initial focus is on securing supply chain growth and trust in the high-value wine and dairy manufacturing industries. Now, I think he is the premier of the state of South Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong on this for any Aussies out there, but he's basically the head of the government in South Australia, the state of South Australia, and I believe that's called the wine state, that portion of Australia. Here's the full release. But if you do a little bit of back digging, and now here it is again, Stephen Marshall. He is the current premier of South Australia, et cetera, et cetera. Premier is a senior representative and spokesperson for the government, is usually the predominant parliamentary performer and tends to set the overall tone and direction of the government. So that's in South Australia. But EFTPOS is Australia's debit card payment system. That's for the entire country of Australia, allowing electronic payments at the point of sale. If you're not aware, just for Hashgraph, EFTPOS is developing a micropayment proof of concept on Hedera Hashgraph. I think it's already developed at this point because this is back in July, and from my interview with Christian Hasker, he had basically said it's weeks away. So I'll have to do an update if that's actually live now. But it seems like Hashgraph has got a pretty good handle on Australia at this point. The head of South Australia's, basically their government, is developing that supply chain app on Hashgraph, and we can see here that their entire debit card system is trialing Hashgraph as well for micropayments. So, wow, that was a big video. Lots of talking. Glad to be back for another video in this community. Again, I'm going to start doing the top 10. I want you guys to comment down below, though. I'm strongly considering just removing proof of work coins and tokens from that, which may be a little bit of an unpopular thing to do. Let me know if you just want me to go 1 to 10. I don't know if it's necessary to do Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision, stuff like that. I was planning on just doing some of the ones that most of us have probably seen in the top groupings, but maybe haven't been able to do the research that maybe you or I have wanted to do on them, because I haven't done it on all of them. I know that for sure. And I don't know if it really needs done for things like Bitcoin and Ethereum at this point. So comment down below. I hope you guys liked this video. I know it was a lot. I try to keep them short, but sometimes it's just not possible. Expecting more rhetoric to come out from governments across the board shortly. And when that happens, I will present it. And when news happens, I will present it as well. Thank you guys so much. Have a great evening. All right, later.